Hi, Susan.
Hello. So I just got out of the shower because I had to
Hello.
start my day and I saw your email. It's like, what? I'm supposed to let you in? Okay.
I was going back through and I think it was actually Robert. But either way, we're
You're
in
in.
now.
And I'm going to make you hosts and then you guys can move forward. Make host. Anna. Make. All right. So I am done and I'm
Yes,
going to
so
go
much.
finish doing my hair and get dressed.
Thank you.
All right.
Great.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Great. Thanks. Bye. So let me see where I have the choir. Let me see. It's here. I hope I can access this now. That's strange. I tried to access via the website. I added this to my Google Calendar, the cohort one.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, I ended up in something November, whatever.
Okay. Well,
Strange.
all right. We get to admit the people in the waiting room.
Yes.
All right.
Can you hear it?
I can't. When you first
Oh,
share,
you can't.
when you first share it, there should be a little checkbox. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Let
Um,
me
so if
see.
you unshare,
Yep, I do.
hello, everyone. Oh,
Hello there.
when you share, there's like a sidebar that has the share sound option. If
Yep,
you,
I see it, and
okay,
I do it now. Okay. Oh dear. Now we have to see it again.
well, we can hear it.
Oh, at least we can hear it now. Now we should have it. Yes.
For everyone who's joining, we're just gonna start with a nice song to get us settled in as you're joining. Is there music playing?
Oh no,
Vertrag,
I'm
den jeder
sorry.
verwenden kann, um seinen Blutzucker.
Somehow it doesn't want to. I'm sorry. I can just try again.
I can also share my screen if there's a.
Okay, try because I always have the ads stopping the performance. I somehow
Sorry,
can't
go
stop
on.
the ads. I'm sorry. Just come into your body and be here. And enjoy to be present with the music. So you might notice some thoughts and feelings arising from today or days before. Or you might be thinking about things like trust or leadership, being part of a group or collaboration. And just letting yourself notice whatever it is with kindness and curiosity.
Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Becoming ProSocial course. I am one of the instructors here. My name is Anna, and I'm calling in from Buffalo, New York, the homelands of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and before them, the Erie and the Neutral. And I'm here today with my co-host, Micah. Micah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm joining from Germany, Europe, and close to Berlin. I'm based. I have been joining ProSocial for quite a while now, and I'm very happy to be part of this cohort and co-facilitate with Anna and be part of your journey, getting to know you. I'm very happy to have you all with us here.
And just to start out today, I wanted to take a little bit of time to contemplate. I hope that you're feeling a little bit relaxed listening to the choir, the power of many individual voices coming together in a way that creates something beautiful and more powerful than the sum of its parts. And I want to invite you into a space of reflection and settling. and contemplation. So if you want to just relax and sit back in your seat, maybe close your eyes or rest your gaze, relax your gaze. And I want you to imagine that you've gotten to the end of this course and things have gone really, really well. What would be different for you? What would you be doing differently? And what might you be noticing? And once you've had a little bit of time to consider this, I want to invite you all to open up the chat. Just type in some of the things that you noticed. What are the things that you might be doing? The ways that you might be embodying and being and showing up in life? David says that his aim is to replenish energy. Well, we have multiple Davids and Daves. Because Dave says increased confidence as a leader, space holder, daring to dream and reach out to potential collaborators that he admires with clearer propositions to do work together. That's wonderful. One of the topics that we're going to cover today is, what does leadership mean? Betsy, thank you for being honest. Yeah. I know that we're all kind of coming into this space with a different level of understanding of pro-social. And maybe some of us have not been able to have time to go through the some of the readings or the videos online. Just so that you know, this space, we're not going to be touching on too much of the asynchronous work. We are going to be using this time as more of a conversation space, but we will be going over some of the fundamentals of pro-social in this session too. Lewis is seeking strength and clarity in communication, ability to articulate in a way that can be envisioned. Mark would like an experiential sense of how to use the pro-social model. Amy is looking to effectively lead groups of teachers who are currently struggling. Kim says responding more effectively, leading discussions and conflicts. Oh, okay, Kaya, thank you for letting me know. And Tanner's looking to become more confident in a leadership role. Right, thank you, everyone. We are going to take a couple minutes to go into breakout rooms with, so Micah, 3 people. And
I have no host status. I cannot do the breakouts.
oh, geez, okay. Here. All right. So 3 people, and I do apologize. We had a very abrupt enter into the technology this morning. So we have a little bit of finagling to do last minute, so I do apologize for that. But so in these breakout groups, it would be wonderful for you to share who you are, maybe where you rest your feet in this world and what your main goals are. So even if you're not as familiar with pro-social, what brought you to this course? Maybe it was just the terminology pro-social, or maybe you have a background that gives you a little bit more insight into contextual behavioral science or evolutionary theory, or however you came to this space.
All right, I could now. I will open the rooms.
Okay. And this will be about 10 minutes. Does anybody have any questions?
Sorry, I joined a little bit late, so I'm not on your map at the moment. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Well, maybe, because I think we just had somebody else join a little late too. So what we can do is Petrie.
Just had Nadim join too, so we could add you to the rooms. So you should, do you have an invite for room 1, Petri?
Yeah, I have, yes, join breakout room,
Right.
join. Do I click
Right.
that one?
Right, you click that one and then you will find someone, Amy, you should find there to get to know and exchange on, right. And Dave's, I don't know
I think this
who's
is a note.
behind Dave's.
I think this is an AI.
Okay.
I am thinking that one of the things, oh, we still have people joining. Maybe we can just greet them.
Mm-hmm. We could invite her. Oh, there's coming even more.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just hi Tanja, Rost, and Anne. Hello. Oh, you are muted.
Hello.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm late. I could not get into the Zoom. Finally, I made it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, and I see Tanja Rost as well. Is that how you say your name?
Tanya. It's
Tanya.
Tanya.
And
Hi.
Ross is your last name. Hello. So we're just in breakout rooms right now. We're inviting people to share their name, where they're from, and what drew them to this course. So Micah and
I will just add you to some rooms so you can get to know some folk, all right?
Okay.
Good. So you should see an invite to join a room and just see who you find. Okay. Do you have a look? Did you have a look at the time? Otherwise, I will have to backtrack a bit and see when I have to call them back. Let's see what the spreadsheet says.
So we're calling them back at around 10:27.
All right, we do that.
I am wondering if instead of going too far into this, because we did not really, I feel like some people are feeling a little bit confused as to what this course is.
What it is.
Yeah. So maybe instead of
We could do a little framing before collecting their breakout experience.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Yeah, and so the time that we would release them would be 10:27, maybe a little bit earlier than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I close the rooms, then it's still a minute until they are called back into the lobby. So I don't
Okay.
know. I can close at 25 or something, then they should be back at 26, 27 latest.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep on reading this wrong. So it's 22 minutes
All
after
right,
we should close the breakouts.
good. So we close in 3 minutes, more or less.
Hmm. I'm also thinking that all of this, I probably should have paused the recording.
My daughter. Welcome back, everybody.
Let's welcome back, everyone. All right, I believe we are all back. I hope that you guys all had a nice time to check in with each other. I did just want to set some quick just contact settings since we did have a few people joining late too. So ProSocial, this is our first course for the first session of the first course in the ProSocial series. There are a number of different more advanced courses that you can take if you're interested in diving deeper into ProSocial. It is a heavily science-based and has a lot of theory behind it. We won't be going too deep into that theory in these sessions. There's quite a bit of asynchronous videos and readings that you can do through the Learn World account. So this is going to be primarily discussion based and experiential based. But just for those who are very new to ProSocial, many times we have people coming in simply because they're drawn to that word ProSocial. It is about how we can come together and set agreements and set a shared purpose and figure out how we can move forward together as a group. This can be very helpful for those of you who are working in any kind of position, whether it's in a hierarchical leadership role or just being a member of the community. So during your breakout rooms, we had asked that you share kind of what brought you to this course. What are you hoping to get from it? And I'm hoping that we can just very briefly share a little bit of what we found might have been similar across groups. And we can do that in the chat here. So if you want to pull up the chat and just share what are some of the things that you notice, the similarities between you and the other people in your group. In many ways, I think that we can find that we all have a bit of a shared purpose in why we are joining, even though we're coming from many different places with many different backgrounds. Tanner said, to apply pro-social in our lives. Refining understanding. Longing to work with groups and communities. Communicating new possibilities, helping others. Interested in intentional community and pro-social community. I'll have spent time in India. Yes, we do have quite a number of people from Oroville, India here who, it'll be a wonderful opportunity to learn more about their experience in intentional community too. We do really hope that this is not so much of a us leading you guys in learning as it is a kind of a shared experience and learning from people's other experiences. All right, well, and I think that and Dave said, to develop my understanding and evolve scientifically, cognitively, socially, and spiritually. All right, thank you. I'm going to pass it back over to Micah, who is going to be doing a quick overview of what to expect from this session today.
Great. Will you share the slide?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so just maybe as a general frame, so these sessions are meant to be experiential based, as Anna said. So we will have the sessions oriented around the topics. You have the materials on Learn World for the session. So this will be the general idea. So today we will have the check-in and grounding. This is what when we came together, we had the choir, so coming into our focus and being together. So then you're gonna get an overview over the entire course, or seven parts, and also a little look out when to expect what exactly in terms of general content. And as Anna said, we won't be rehearsing the content you have on Learn World. We will go into discussion and into partly also application. And so it would always be very nice if you just bring whatever you have in your life and what you do with the material in your life to the sessions. So the next point is finalizing the shared purpose for your engagement in this program. And you can go on, I think, Anna. And then if you have any questions regarding the course platforms or Learn Worlds or the content of course, you can always ask questions. So if there was something in the material given for this week's session, you can of course ask all the questions you'd like to ask. Then we want to have a look at you as a leader, as leadership is the starting point of our journey together, and everybody is a leader. So you already made yourself familiar with the concept, I guess. And then finally, we're going to have a checkout, also coming together, having a togetherness as a group, as a learning group. And so going into each one's everyday life back before we are going to meet up next week again. So this is in general what we plan to do today. And now I hand over to Anna for the lookout, what to expect during the sessions.
Right, thank you, Micah. So this is an overview of the 6 out of 7 of the modules that we're going to be going through. So we are starting off here with you as the leader, and we will go through each of these throughout the course of our time together with a final celebratory review 7th session at the end. So in this module and the next, between you as leader and authentic pro-social conversations, we'll begin with the idea of psychological flexibility. So this is the ways that you can become more adaptive to your context using techniques designed to help you evolve your inner world. We really want to start with this idea of exploring our inner world and developing that before we jump into working as a group, because this is a key foundation to us working together collectively. So we'll show you how you can catch rigid, habitual, and unhelpful patterns of responding and experiment with trying out new responses more suited to creating more thriving for yourself and others. A key tool that we use in psychological flexibility for enhanced relationships is listening more effectively to oneself and listening more effectively to others. And that's what becomes what we're going to be diving deeper into next time. And we'll be finishing up with some self-awareness and responsiveness. In module 3 of the course, we'll take a deep dive into the ways to enhance your listening skills in support of improving your relationships. Really, a key point of pro-social is finding shared vision and values. Once you have that with a group, you can start to expand on some of the other tools such as conflict management, equity, distribution of benefits, but it really all stems from making sure that we have a clear shared purpose as a group. Then in module 4, we will use the same principles and tools to find out how we can work as a group to evolve a shared sense of purpose and identity. I'll show you how the remarkable ability of humans to take a perspective on each other, themselves, and a variety of possible futures can be used to foster that deep alignment between personal and collective values and needs. And then finally, we will be entering into some discussion around Elinor Ostrom's work with the commons. So the core design principles are all strategies for improving collaboration and can be used in a variety of different ways. In this course, since it is the first course, we're going to be staying pretty high level, but we will also be just investigating some of the strategies that you guys have used or found helpful in your work as well. And then finally, we will be exploring how you can use our recurring pattern of increasing variability in selection and retention, some terms from evolution, and to see what helps groups work in their context. And as you can see, there are these 3 sections that we're working through: the individual self-awareness and responsiveness, using this cycle of selection, replication, and variation. And we're moving through individual to group to a collective coevolution. And for those of you who are familiar with evolutionary science, selection, replication, and variation is how we really are able to adapt, and we can apply this to behavior and culture as well as genes. So when we're able to find the behaviors that work, we're able to replicate and create some variation in our behaviors to make sure that we're choosing the most adaptive in the context that we're working in. In each of these cycles, there are a number of different tools that we can use. We do not have a specific set of tools that we say that you need to use in order to follow the pro-social framework. We're really open to expanding and working with other methodologies and other frameworks, whether it's Theory U, whether it is through acceptance and commitment therapy. A number of different things work in under this kind of viewpoint of pro-social. And then this is just a deeper dive into the pro-social process, which which in many ways you can look at as the 4 P's of pro-social. So we have the personal, we have the purpose, we have the protocols, and then we have the proposals for action. And at each point, we're looking at it as an evolutionary cycle. And then finally, we come to the idea of power with and power over. This is a key point of pro-social, in that we are operating under the assumption that power with is more powerful than power over. This is a very different viewpoint in comparison to many of the hierarchical groups that we have been used to being part of. You do not need to necessarily hold the power or a position of power in order to be a leader. You can be a leader by sharing power with other people as well. And I just wanted to read through some of these quotes. Sorry about that. So Heifetz et al. Defines leadership as the practice of mobilizing people to tackle tough challenges and thrive. Miki Kashtan defines power as the capacity to mobilize resources to attend to needs. And from this definition, power over is using power to meet one's own needs at the expense of others, and power with is mobilizing resources to attend to the needs, not just of ourselves, but also of others. And so before we go into our breakout rooms to discuss this idea of power over and power with, I do want to just take the time to see if anybody has any technological issues around accessing LearnWorld and some of the resources that are there. If you have not gotten into LearnWorld yet, that is totally fine too. You can always reach out to us and ask for some assistance, or we can stay on and chat about it after this session or next session. But are there any questions specifically about technology? Oh, okay, great.
Looks good.
All right, so we will be entering into some breakout rooms of 3 people each. And in
2 to 3 or 3 to 4, what would you prefer?
I think probably 3 or 3 to 4. Yeah, let's
3
have
to 4. All right, we do that.
Okay. So in your breakout rooms, I'd like you to discuss what are your strengths in both finding ways to share power and to lead change. I can type that in.
Okay, just change one bot and now it should work. Okay.
And this will be a breakout of about 20 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I see David smiling, so it looks like maybe there was some good conversations.
Well, I was also looking at Kaylee's little one in her lap, so or Kylie.
Yeah, it's very cute. Great. So now that we are back, we want to just invite members from each group to kind of share some of the things that were discussed. How does power show up for you? What are some of the ways that you've found that you can share power? Yeah, if anybody from your group is willing to kind of give a condensed version of what it was you discussed, and then we will open up to a larger discussion after that.
So it would be great. So just that we don't miss anybody out, I just asked for the groups. I made a small note who was paired with whom. So if someone from the group with Kaylee, Kaya, and Marek feels has an impulse to share with us. What did you discuss? Just give us a small spotlight. It would be very, very nice to.
I'd be really interested in Mark's synopsis of it.
I'm not sure I'm best placed to, and I don't know how much you want to share or not. I mean, I think
Sure, go ahead.
I think the more abstract stuff, but maybe is it Louise, because it says Louise.
It's Kaya using my
Kaya.
husband's.
Kaya, okay. Kaya, I mean, that she was talking a very specific situation that in the community where she is, and some difficulties, some serious difficulties going through there. I mean, I'll say what came up for me a lot, and maybe you can say what you came. I mean, what really came up for me that got me really thinking is what happens when you are part of a community or an organization or a system that is very much about power with, but then comes up against an organization or a structure or a system that doesn't operate along those lines and maybe has more power, certainly immediately obvious power in that moment. That, I mean, that was something that really stood out for me. And we were thinking about how you might respond and what power you do have. That might be a different type of power, but yeah, I don't know what you'd add to that. That was what really just stood out for me.
So Mark had asked, what would be my skills or strengths in this, and the strength of inner-centeredness and knowing spirit, and the hope that will come through, and to stand so strongly in my aspirations and beliefs and visions that I don't waver and I don't lose hope.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a very interesting impulse for me too. So from the next group, there were Ashish. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Petri, Tanya, and Tanner. So what would you say was like a spotlight on what you discussed in terms of power with, over, or leadership?
Yeah, I'll go. So our group, we just discussed our experience with power and power with and power over, and Petri described his experience in the corporate world, bringing in pro-sociality, and just like the other group, butting up against the person in charge, really the person within the organization who isn't supportive of pro-sociality, and how the decision-making process can be slow, and how it's important to highlight celebrate the highlights along the way.
Interesting. Something you want to add, or shall we go to the next group?
So, yeah, one of the
Ashish, you're very, very, I can't really hear you.
So yeah, one of the participants also shared the example of shared power and everyone having a voice, but probably that was leading all to just discussion, and it wasn't going anywhere. Probably that really got me thinking the other side of having a power with model. Probably, yeah, that's what I would like to probably discuss more later.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Sure. So then we had the group with Amy, Anne, and David Branston. So where did your discussion take you?
David had the best quote, so he probably wants to share.
Not best quotes. Hope I don't get voted off the pro-social island here.
Okay.
No, we discussed. I think Amy specifically was a really nice kind of from her space in education was a really nice way to open this up, which was to talk about kind of, you know, unconditional personal regard and the way that, you know, everyone can be empowered and celebrating, you know, the talents and gifts of everyone. So that was, I think, a really nice way to walk into the conversation. I mentioned that, you know, one of the things I kind of try and safeguard against from my own personal standpoint is kind of shedding kind of expertise and mastery mindset, because the conversations can't really go far when you kind of are occupying that kind of place, and looking at not only curiosity but beyond, looking at confusion, which can be kind of unsettling, looking at that as an opportunity to kind of really dig in. And then we talked a little bit about other ways to, which, as everyone has acknowledged, it's difficult based on traditional and classic notions of leadership, but looking where, although abstract, looking at where purpose can actually become the leader, and everyone sort of, you know, occupies a stance of followership in that regard. So that's where we kind of, that's what we looked at.
Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing. And then we had the final group for this exercise. It was Betsy, Dave Evans, and Kim.
Do you want me to summarize, or do either of you want to? I can summarize.
That's good, Kim.
Thanks. I can add something, maybe. Go on.
Yeah. Or do you want to start?
You can kick it off, and I'll add
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah. So we had a really nice discussion about kind of the same as the earlier groups discussed, this idea when power with kind of butts up against power over, and how to kind of lead to change through that. So we talked about our different experiences with that, both like personal and in the wider community, and then how kind of I think this kind of hierarchy of roles doesn't necessarily need to be a hierarchy, but if you have different roles. And so I think, speaking to kind of what one of the last participants just said about sometimes things kind of turning into just dialogue that doesn't move towards change, having roles can be a strength as long as there's a reflection on using that kind of expertise or talent or role with others and their roles and their expertise, and kind of yeah, having this basically figuring out how to kind of make that work to lead towards change. And I really liked how David just said, having purpose as a leader. I think that was maybe a piece that we were missing. When I was making my notes, I thought, oh, that really like came into, kind of rounded out our discussion. So, but yeah, maybe Dave or Betsy have something to add.
Nothing comes. Yeah, go on,
Thanks.
Betsy.
No, just good job. Thanks, Kim.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing. So, Anna, do you want to jump in, or?
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that we are really trying to bring in this course is a redefinition or realigning of our relationship with power. And I think that sounds like so many of you guys had a really wonderful discussion that kind of got deeper into the different contexts that you're coming in with. It is true that it's difficult to have a truly power with sense about you when you're also in a hierarchical organization. And so I think that it would be wonderful if we could just continue to explore this a little bit. If anybody has any specific examples that they would like to share about just how your behavior attitude might have contributed to mobilizing a group and supported them in being able to move forward kind of collectively. Seems like some of you were talking about almost emergence leadership. And for anybody who has not spoken yet, please feel free to speak up. But if not, we can call from somebody else.
So maybe what might be also an interesting point to just for you to get into a little more reflection and maybe let everybody share a bit. So when you think on situations where you were leading, whether you chose or you happened to become a leader in a situation, and you say, "Oh, this was me at my best." How did you do this? What was the situation? What were you doing? How did you succeed in getting into power with in a situation you might recall in your life? Can be personal, can be business related, can be anything. It might be just as a prompt, so we get some ideas in the room, so everybody can what's the English word? I don't know.
I think when I'm most effective is when it's almost like I'm not there and there's some other power moving through me.
So you're saying that when you are most effective, you have the collective power kind of moving through you?
Sort of spirit power, some kind of energy that's, I don't know, me as a person, I have, I can do so much, but there's other possibilities, which we all have. We can tap into different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
You asked for a specific example. I used to do a lot of facilitation with reluctant adult participants, mostly technology training. And I was going into schools, and it was in the era when schools were just getting computers and the internet and needed to figure out what to do with it. And a lot of the teachers were very resistant, but their principals would force them to go to these trainings that I was leading. And I learned from that experience that it wasn't about convincing them that they should be there and learn something. It was about empathizing. And it was about even saying, even little things I could say to them, like, yeah, I know you don't want to be here today. You have a lot going on. And just these little icebreaker statements of empathy. And I'd say, look, I didn't decide for you to come here today, but here we are. So hopefully we can, figure something out that'll be helpful for you. And then I would ask them if, it depended on the situation, but it felt like it was about the empathy and meeting them where they were, which sometimes was not in the place that their leaders, their power over leaders wanted them to be.
Yeah, I love that. The empathy is being able to relate to them, but also putting it back. So making sure that the time is most valuable for them rather than trying to meet some goal that was set for somebody other than them. Thank you, Betsy.
I'm here. Um,
Haley.
That sounds like a lot of what I do when I work with my kids. So I teach kids usually around like K through 5. And kids, if they don't know the value proposition of what we're trying to do in a session in a class, they're not going to do it. And there's very much, kids are the ultimate, power under population because they have so little control over what they get to do in their day and what they're learning about, and talk about goals that are set for you by other people. Like that's a child's whole experience. So I think one of the ways I'm the most successful educator is in a 25-minute session, I meet them where they're at. I know, like, you're at the end of a long day, you just want to play or scroll in your phone or whatever. I get that. And then we just start at the smallest, with the smallest bit of connection that I can find with that student. And then I work from there, and I don't worry so much about, oh, we're supposed to be hitting, this many vocabulary words, or we're supposed to be getting this much output out of the student in a session. I start with where they're at, and that's where I get the most success.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, I think that is such a good point. It's so much about the context that we're working in too. I think that in many ways, this can be a very individualized approach. So we have to be really nuanced in every way that we approach things, rather than having like an overarching, again, goal that's set from top down. Having this approach can have us be a little bit more sensitive to the individual needs and context of the situation, which is very much what we strive to do through contextual behavioral science.
I feel like kind of going along with that, one of the things that I have started to focus on a little bit more this year is looking at the organizational behavior, the behavior of our organization as to the why behind some of our struggles. And I think in the past, similar to some others working in education, that I work with teachers who are struggling maybe to work with children. But then if I like kind of follow in education is a pretty hierarchical organization, but when you kind of like look at it as a whole, the administrators are also getting top-down directives, and the people above them are kind of getting directives from above them, and even the superintendents are, under pressure from like the school board, let's say, which I think in the corporate world would be similar to pressure from shareholders, or from making sure that your stocks are going up or something like that. So I think that the more that I thought about it, that when people are under stress, and I just think that you're not able to be your best self. And so when I have teachers who are under a lot of stress, they're struggling to effectively be leaders in their classroom and lead children in a way that's effective. Just as when the principals are under stress, they're struggling to effectively lead their teachers. And what happens then, I think, is a lot of times we have people who then are stuck, maybe using kind of some of those behaviors that we would hope to not see, where maybe we think that we're doing things because we're trying to hold people accountable, because we think it's going to make behaviors better or make things better in an organization, but it really has the opposite effect. So I feel like this year I've tried to kind of share some of this understanding of what has been happening across the organization, and I think sometimes it has resulted in maybe some different understanding of kids thinking and teachers thinking and administrators thinking that has then maybe lessened some of the stress and burden so that people can be better able to like operate in their thinking brains rather than being stuck in that stress mode all the time.
Yeah, I think that's such a well thought out vision that you have there about like what everybody is, the pressures that everybody's facing, and how that kind of ends up coming down and hurting the people that are receiving the services. Yeah.
Yeah, and also from the discussion, entire discussion, what I just take is that the points you were discussing in your breakout rooms before, like how to have power with idea of leadership and a power over a system. There were some pretty good ideas about finding a small group context, creating a sense of we-ness, and starting from there on, even within a power over system, which I find very interesting and a nice idea.
I did see David unmute, but I wanted to just invite Tanya or Petri if either of you guys want to share anything. If not, totally fine to pass.
I'll go next. I have a similar, I'm also working with kids, and I'm at my best whenever I find a few kids that I can connect with and we share an activity together. I mean, we invent an activity, and then it's most easy to bring everybody else on board. When there's a little core that has started, and then the creativity just spreads over and everybody is at their best and adds to the ideas. But of course, I'm not necessarily talking about a classical classroom situation. I'm more talking about outings, creative things, sportive things, like these kind of activities where a group really needs to come together. And there's room for creativity.
Also very interesting aspect of getting started and not looking for everybody in the start, but setting the path for everybody to join in.
Well, I mentioned in my small group in the breakout room that I come from the business world and from the corporate world, and what I've tried to do is that in decision making, sharing the power by creating the solutions together, and then voting for the solutions that which of the solutions is something that people mostly feel that could work in a situation, or the choices that we are making, that they are kind of discussed and voted. So I'm kind of interested in this idea of sharing the power in this way, and that is something that I have used when I've been guiding or coaching groups, that we make joint decisions by voting.
And we will do some brief discussions into decision-making models, but it'll be wonderful to hear your experience specifically in that module, Petri. That's wonderful that you're, and is it Petri? Am I pronouncing it right? Okay, great. And David, I know that you had unmuted earlier, so I welcome you to, no? Okay. Then
I was just going to piggyback off of Amy's point about stress and just trying to notice when those old bugaboos of survival and protection shows up, especially in contexts in which, that's adaptive. So, we're kind of trying to hold place and kind of constantly, pushing against or demanding. And so that's one of the things I really try and bring awareness to. It's like, is that kind of coming on board? Am I kind of trying to hold that and just kind of, where you can, dropping it?
That's such a good point. Yeah, because I think that all of our emotions are adaptive in some way. And I think that we'll be kind of diving a little bit more deeper into that when we go through the model that we tend to use the most. It's called the ACT matrix in a future session. But yes, how can we delineate between helpful emotions and thoughts versus unhelpful? All right, and I will pass it over to Micah to go over what we can expect for next week.
Right. Yeah, so thank you very much. As Anna already let you know earlier, we have like a journey from the more individual perspective, from looking onto you and your way on leadership, and also on getting into contact and going from session to session further into the group context. And next week will be still on the individual personal level, and also invitation to reflect. And if you go through the material, there will be some impulses on, for example, getting into contact and on listening skills. And it's part of working to psychological flexibility. So I'm very curious on how you will relate the material to your situation in life and your projects where you want to apply them. And this is something I'd invite everybody always to look for. How does this relate to me and to my life? There is the academic input, and then if you really want to make it your own, just try to translate it into, and what does it mean for me in my life, and how can I apply it? So this is what we would like to invite you. And also there is the platform where you can put in like a chat platform where some of you have already given an introduction to yourselves. So we'd like to invite you, whoever has not yet had the possibility to give a short introduction. There, from my experience with other cohorts, there have been very, very nice like synergies, just getting to know people who have to offer something to each other. And so just take the chance, put in something into the chat and say who you are, what you're looking for, what you thrive for. And then we can get into contact and into exchange also if we're not in course and in class. So yeah, this is a short look at. Anna, for you.
All right, thank you. And so for the last 5 minutes, we just want to do some closing checkout. And just for time, we can have you put your answer in the chat. We are interested if any of this discussion kind of hit you in a place where you're going to be a bit more mindful moving forward. What might you be taking from this session into your own practice? Maybe something that you'll change what you can do. And I also want to say, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stay on. Micah will be remaining on for a couple minutes afterwards to answer any questions. And I just repeated the question in the chat. Mark says, it has made me reflect on what leadership even is and the context in which I play a leadership role. Micah says, looking consciously for power with options via sense of we-ness, even within power over environments. Kim says, reflecting on how mobilizing people doesn't mean convincing them, but rather empathizing and meeting them where they are at, acknowledging the multiple potential pressures and potentially finding shared needs. And Amy says, leadership is about meeting needs, the various needs of groups within an organization. So how can she support meeting the needs of adults while also supporting children in her case? Mm-hmm. David, yes, I agree. Perspective shifts can invite ways of bringing in new opportunities. Betsy will be more mindful of how power shows up in her life, and how she can effectively relate to power over. Yes, because we will always have those, won't we? Tanya is seeing and valuing others. Tanner is going to be practicing leadership and by creating spaces for those within the group to be heard and making that a priority. Yeah, very nice, Tanner. Thank you. Keely says, trying to avoid when possible situations where different power structures get stuck in opposition. All right, and we are at the bottom of the hour. So anybody who has not responded yet, please feel free to continue typing away. But we do want to acknowledge that some people need to leave. So thank you everyone for attending today. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks.
And I do notice Maheswari. We are just at the end of our times. Do you have any difficulty getting in?
Yeah, I was, hi, hello, this is Maheshwari from India, Orville. Actually, I was not able to log in. It was saying either it got disconnected automatically or it was saying waiting for the host to start. So then I received another link, which was difficult for me to log in, maybe due to some network issue, or I have no idea of what it is. So may I request if it is possible to share me the video recorded of this session? Is that possible?
Yes, yeah, we will have recordings each week available in the Learn World. There's a section at the end of each course or each session that has a session 1 and session 2 that you can click on and access the recording, the chat, things like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I think that there were
That's
some
okay, that's
tech
okay.
issues for, yeah, not just your
It
part.
was
So.
not my day.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I have something. I cannot access the material yet because my code doesn't work. But I
Yes.
think the team will figure that out, right?
Yes, I did see that Susan Soleil forwarded that email along, and I think that they are looking into that. Yeah, sorry about that.
I had the wrong link too for the Zoom link. I had an old one from last year. That's why I was so late. I was waiting in the wrong loop.
And is that the link? Did you get that on the website?
No, I from that.
Okay.
Because on the website I couldn't yet log in actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but I figured out with him.
All right.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Well, yes, let us know if you have any other questions. We'll follow up on those emails that you guys are included on.
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good.